Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the We Talk Next podcast. I'm your host, Moneymaker Chris, and joined by my very special guest here, the podcast machine himself, the one and only Mr. Mike Larkin. Mike, how you doing here this evening?
Chris, it is such a pleasure to be back on the show with you. I always love doing these shows. I love your work, and I thank you for that amazing introduction, being the podcast machine that I am. It's always a pleasure and a privilege. Thank you, sir.
You welcome, man. Glad to have you aboard. Are you ready to get started?
Oh, I am. There's a lot to cover in the week in wrestling and also to some amazing badass shows, so absolutely.
Absolutely, very cool, very cool. All right, so before we get into like the recaps of everything, because we're going to talk about NXT Roadblock as well as AEW Revolution from this past weekend. Just first off, your overall thoughts. I mean, we talk off air about this stuff too, but just get your overall thoughts for the people here. How do you feel about like the current landscape with the NXT? You know, it's not the black and gold NXT. They're kind of going back to their roots, and you see more of the younger talent get opportunities and stuff. Now, how do you feel about the current NXT format?
See, people complain like, oh, they're calling it the developmental brand. I thought it was the third brand. Okay. When ECW in 2008, 2009, when they started with their Superstar Initiative, we got newcomers like Kofi Kingston, Sheamus, Jack Swagger, Zack Ryder went over here and developed the woo-woo character. Like, that was developmental, and people weren't, it wasn't even called developmental. That's what they were using that ECW brand for. What NXT is doing now is going back to its roots, and we've talked about this, where we saw Seth Rollins, we saw Richie Steamboat, we saw CJ Parker, we saw all these talents there. And I think a lot of people are taken back by it because it's not like this, oh, we have all these indie stars like the NXT Black and Gold brand was, and it was ran by Triple H and what now that Shawn Michaels has taken over. It's be kind of like what OVW used to be like, what the early NXT, like I mentioned, FCW. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think for what they're doing, what people need to give a chance to is like they got a lot of badass up and comers, like we touched upon with Grayson Warlow, Carmelo Hayes, Braun
Mm-hmm.
Breaker, Roxanne Perez. What you're doing is you're also bringing down talent there from the main roster, like your Jinder Mahals, like you had Dolph Ziggler go down there, AJ Styles, to help bring up and rise up the new talent. And I mean, Johnny Gargano's down there again. We'll talk about that in the show. But God dang it, man, you need that. It's not a demotion because there's people that still feel it as that D word, that demotion. And I'm like, it's really not. So I think with this landscape, I think it's just going to continue to get better and better. I mean, their first show outside of Florida, traveling, Charlotte, North Carolina, that was a hot crowd and that was a damn good takeover. So, I mean, if you go to LA, and especially with what's main eventing the show, as well as Johnny Gargano, I think the sky's the limit. Is it like the black and gold brand as of old? No, but it's something new. It's something fresh. And I think a lot of people should and be on the lookout for it because it's only going to go on the up and up.
Hey, I couldn't have put it any better myself. I definitely, if anybody doesn't watch NXT on a regular like they used to back when it was black and gold, I highly recommend. I mean, give it a chance. Just give it a chance. Watch a couple of episodes and see how you feel about it. Because there's a lot of good stuff going on down there. There's a lot of great young up and coming talent down there, like your Carmelo Hayes, your Grayson Wallers, people like that, and you got people like Johnny Gargano coming back down there. We've seen Art Truth work down there. We've seen AJ Styles come down there. Jinder Mahal's currently down there now. We saw Natty come down there. I like them blending in like the young up and coming talent and mixing some veterans and stuff in there as well. I have no issue with that whatsoever. That's why I don't understand. People are, oh, it's not the black and gold NXT anymore. I'm not gonna watch. Give it a chance. You're not even giving it a chance. You're just going by what you hear online, what the people saying online. You can't do that. You have to judge for yourself. I'll always, and I'm sure you very much the same way. I like to see things for myself. I don't worry about what the people on Twitter and Facebook. I don't care what they have to say. I want to see for myself and get my own perspective and get my own opinion on the product.
And I had the perspective of, and my dad was actually big into it. He's like, you got to watch this. It's actually not bad. And then I watched it with my dad, and then boom. But I was out there because everybody's like, oh, it's not the same. And I'm like, you know what? All right, I hear you, but let me give it a shot. And
Right.
that's the thing. People need to give it a chance. And like we were talking about, I'll give an example here. Like, oh my God, Jinder Mahal and Braun Breaker. Okay, the first time that Seth Rollins won the NXT championship, when Dusty Rhodes raised his hand in 2012 and he won and became the inaugural NXT champion, Jinder Mahal was his opponent, okay? It came down to, in the tournament, Seth Rollins versus Jinder Mahal. And at the time, Jinder Mahal wasn't doing diddly squat. He was on Superstars. This is around the time when Tyson Kidd came in. and Trent Beretta, and you saw all these people, and people still bitch like, oh my God. Like Jinder Mahal, if you look about it, wasn't part of the inaugural NXT of what it became and launched Seth Rollins as the NXT champion. You see a lot of people come in there, like you mentioned, like Jinder Mahal. And first of all, we're going to speak briefly about Jinder Mahal here. Sorry, Chris, but god dang, man, here's the thing. Jinder Mahal, when you had the Singh brothers, that was more like a comedy act because then you have Singh brothers, okay, they're going to get their butts kicked for Jinder, but you put him with Veer and Sangha, who have never should have broke up in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Because Veer wasn't working on the main roster. He was just doing enhancement matches, and he had the brief feud with the Mysterios. And then you bring Sangha back like he's the gentle giant, what have you. But also at the same time, they're both brutes. They can work. They're athletic for their size, and it's great that they put them together. But then you have Jinder at the lead, and it works. It works.
It does. It definitely does. It makes sense. It just makes sense to have it all three of them working together. I have no issues with that
I
whatsoever.
don't get it, man. It's just people just first of all, people haters gonna hate and players gonna play and ballers gonna ball to quote 3LW. But no, I mean
Yes.
it's one
Yes.
of those things where
Yes. I love it.
dude, and we live in a society of tribalism where we have to like this is what I like, and if you don't like it, then F you. It's like it doesn't have to be like that.
No.
Just enjoy it for what it is. And I say this about NXT all the time. With what they have now, the card, what it looks like. It looks like we're gonna get Roxanne Perez and possibly a Tiffany Stratton or a Lyra Valkyria, depending on how they go there. There's matches there. She just came off the bat with Mako. We got Grayson Waller and Johnny Gargano. We got Braun Baker and Carmelo Hayes, and we'll get into it. But god dang it, man. If this is what you're setting up for me for California, which this year it's going to air at 1 p.m. Eastern here for us because it's the same day as WrestleMania, like that's a great way to start a friggin' WrestleMania weekend.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is. Like I said, there's a lot of good things going on the NXT roster. If you're not watching, I would definitely recommend checking out because you're missing out. And don't compare it to the black and gold NXT. It's not that. It's just something different. The brand has evolved to something that is special. I think it may not be black and gold NXT, but it's still something that's definitely worth checking out. I feel.
And Shawn Michaels has busted his butt to put on a damn good
Yes.
product.
Props to Shawn Michaels stepping in for Triple H when Triple H had to take time off because of health issues. Shawn Michaels has done a very good job down there. I feel he's done a very good job considering all the circumstances and everything. He's done a very good job with the current product.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, that's the NXT side. Now, how do you? This is gonna be good. How do you feel about the current AEW product?
Oh, you mean Tony Khan and I about Ring of Honor and a
Yeah.
lot of about Tony Khan? Yeah. Okay.
Oh man,
I'm sorry,
this is
man.
gonna be good. This is gonna be good. I want to
I
hear it. Let's go.
I
Bring it.
can't wait till we get to friggin' Double or Nothing and it's the same weekend. I'm not gonna sit around and take this shit. WWE's running its
That's
own
right.
same week I'm running Double or Nothing. So so I'm gonna
Calm
just say
down,
this.
Tony Khan. Calm down.
Calm
It's
down,
okay.
Tony. I'm sorry.
Switch the
Oh my god.
decaf. Switch the decaf. Come on, Tony.
Come on, you want to come at me, Chris? I just want to run Ring of Honor and AEW. Woo! No. So when it comes to AEW, look, I make fun of Tony Khan a lot. I don't hate the man, but that man needs to chill the fuck out. Excuse my
Yes.
language. But my problem with that is I'm going to say right now, I understand it was supposed to be heel heat and, the olden days of from ECW, WWF, the territory days of what MJF does. But damn it, that was not cool. Him throwing the beverage on the kid like that. And I'll tell you
Yes.
why, because that could have led to that woman saying security, getting a cop. Something bad could have happened.
Oh
They
yes.
are they are lucky that they didn't have a lawsuit at them. You
Yes.
can't do stuff like that. It's not 1995 anymore. It's not the 80s. It's not the 70s when you would be that heel character and guys would throw bricks at your car and throw stuff through your windshield. We're not in that time period anymore. And I know Jim Cornette loved it because, of course, he did.
Of
So,
course.
of
Sure.
course, he did. But you're in a different time period now. And first of all, you can, I'll give you an example. When John Cena was feuding R-Truth, yes, I'm going to go here. When R-Truth was in the kid's face, little Jimmy, and his father was next to him, and he spilled the soda in the father's face, and then John Cena immediately came out and attacked him. That's planned. You knew it was going to happen. This
Mm.
was just, he had a knee-jerk reaction. He took the beverage, and he's like, well, there's a kid over there, splat. And it wasn't needed. For the match that they were doing, the story they were telling, that did not need to be there. And unfortunately, it was, and it took away from a lot of it because the kid was crying, and the AEW roster had to make sure he was having a good time. I believe they brought him out to the Sacramento show for this week for AEW.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, so what you're doing here is that is the landscape, and I think Tony Khan, where it goes back to Tony Khan needs to like. And they said he had a talk with MJF. He said at the media scrum, but did he really have a talk? And what I mean by that is Tony has got to stop wanting to be everybody's friend. I know you want them to like you, Tony. Your action figures came to life, Tony. Your EFED came to life, Tony. Oh my God, Cesaro signed with AEW, Tony. Thank you so much, Cesaro. Swing me, baby. He can't be like that. He needs to be more hands-on and say, hey, this behavior is unacceptable. Max, you do these signings, we're in your character. We're going to have to watch you and make sure you tone it down so we don't have this happen again. You have to put stuff in place, especially it goes back to what happened with the Bucks and CM Punk and Kenny Omega. You need a system where you're very definitive and let him know that you're the boss. Because when you look at him, he doesn't come off as a boss. He comes off like a Mark who has a wrestling promotion. Daddy gave me a wrestling promotion. And that's how it comes off as. And he goes into everything. He needs more structure. He needs people to help him with the book. There needs to be more influx in there. Tony just can't do everything for himself. And he needs to have a little bit more, dare I say, chutzpah and what he does, Chris.
No, you're absolutely right. And you, like I've always said to you before, you got plenty of people that have over there that have been around the block. You got people like JR, Tony Schiavone, Taz, I think still Jerry Lynn, D. Malenko and stuff over there. You got veterans that have been around the block that have been, doing this for a long time, a lot longer than what Tony has. You need to listen to those guys and lean on them. And also too, like you said, be more assertive, be more of a boss. Look at Triple H. You would never see Triple H acting in the way that you see Tony Khan acting a lot of the time. I'm not gonna say I like Tony Khan. I respect him. He's very ambitious. He's done a lot of great things, but there's still a lot of growing up for him to do. A lot of maturity for him, I
It,
feel.
it goes back to the friggin' Ariel Hawani. How are you on SmackDown, you fraud? And like
I
that,
know, right? Yes. Like,
like,
come on. Like,
like
really, dude?
why?
Really?
Because he turned out
Why?
because he did the interview and oh he didn't like me, he talked to me about the interview and I'm like, oh god, no, he's not a fraud. He lives in Montreal. They asked him to do voiceover work, and here's the problem with wrestling fans and that AEW fans are attacking him. He's not a wrestling journalist. Okay, Errol Hawani is not a wrestling journalist. He's an MMA journalist. He has the MMA hour. He's had wrestlers on his show, yes, but he's not a wrestling journalist. He is an MMA journalist, and he's even said himself he's never claimed to be a wrestling journalist. You know what I'm saying? That was the overall thing that got to me too. And Errol Hawani's response was hilarious, calling him a snowman. I'm not gonna lie, that made me
That
laugh.
was good. That was good.
But the issue here with Tony Khan is stop with the tweets. You don't need to interact with the fans because you don't need to respond to them whatever they say because they want to get your goat. They want you to respond and act buck wild like you did on Twitter. That's his problem. He also gets involved too much with social media. You should not be worrying about what the fans think. You should not be worrying about what Dave Meltzer thinks because we are also in a day, time, and age where WWE, if you look at the landscape, and again, there's something for everyone. This is why you and I love talking about professional wrestling. WWE is more focused on the influx and variety of, or let's tell a story, and here's how we get to the match. What Tony Khan wants to do is what I like to call the Dave Meltzer booking. 5 stars. I want banger matches. The story comes on the other side. He's listening to Dave Meltzer. Dave Meltzer, who I'll say this because this is what I was going to rant about it when we talk NXT, but we'll go here now. This is the same Dave Meltzer who said that the fact that they didn't even acknowledge that Ava Raine was the daughter of this movie star, The Rock. Okay. How about the fact that maybe she wants to make it on her own, like a Braun Breaker's doing right now, like a Raquel Diaz did, the former Shaw Guerrero, when she was there in NXT? They never made one mention of her as Eddie Guerrero's daughter. Like Rocky Maivia, the Rock was Rocky Johnson and Peter Maivia put it together, this white meat babyface that people hated. When he joined the Nation as a heel, became The Rock, and then he developed his own character and he was himself. That's what got him over. She does not have to be Simone Johnson, all right? She has a gimmick right now, which is a great character. What she's doing with the schism and what she's doing with the triad or whatever they're calling the schism. Yeah. So the problem that we have here is why does she have to be Simone Johnson? Why can't you just be Ava Rain? And people also complain like she hasn't wrestled yet. She doesn't need to, because when that happens, it's going to be special. And I'm sure we're going to see it with her and Chase U and Ava Rain. But again, this is who he takes advice from, that being Tony Khan, a guy like Dave Meltzer who will say that. And then him and Dave Meltzer are going at it about, oh, what was the first Iron Man match? I did a 1 hour draw. Adam Page, Bryan Danielson. Oh my God, nobody else did that. Yay. And he's arguing with Dave Meltzer at the media scrum. Dave, was that the first 1 hour Broadway to go to a draw? Dave, you know. And I'm like, this has nothing to do with anything. So that's the problem as well, just because I like doing the voice. And the fact of the matter is, Dave Meltzer, he listens more to Dave Meltzer than he does his own influx of talent within his company.
Hey, I couldn't. you said it all right there, my friend. You said it all. No lies told there with anything that you said. Anything else on the NXT brand or the AEW brand before we get into these recaps? Anything else?
No, I think you just wanted me to do the voice. I know you just wanted me to sit
Yes,
back. I
yes,
can rant about it.
yes.
No,
I like that. That's good stuff right there, man. That's good stuff
but
for
no,
sure.
that's really all I have to say. I mean, we'll touch upon it when we get to the shows, but I'm just like, I look at this company. One thing I will actually add, now that we brought it up, Powerhouse Hobbs is the TNT champion. And mind you, I feel so bad for Wardlow that his car got broken into. It is such a shame. I really feel bad for him. But let me just say right now, out of all the finishes you could have done, QT Marshall with a chair, like how, why? And he's like, oh, but that one time, and they're trying to explain that one time, when QT Marshall said Powerhouse Hobbs, I'll get your back. And like, how long ago was that? I don't even remember that. Was that
I
on
don't even
Rampage?
remember that neither.
I don't even remember that. Like, what does
I
this
don't
have to
remember
do?
that. No.
Like, I was confused. And of course, I got to bring it up. Eddie Kingston, I quit AEW. Then he goes over to Ring of Honor on the debut episode of Honor Club. Challenges, he wants to go with Claudio because of their history. He wants to go for Ring of Honor World title. Here's my problem. It's the same boss.
Yes.
AEW is run by Tony
It's the
Khan. And I
same
know,
freaking boss.
I
Yes,
know
it's not like he's
this,
going to a different company. No,
and
it's
I
the
know
same
this
freaking
is
boss.
I know this is a storyline, and I know he's going with it. And Tony presented to him, "Hey, you're going to quit AEW, want you over Ring of Honor." And Eddie Kingston's trying to make it out on Twitter, like, "Oh, it used to be like the Ring of Honor locker room, and now I'm over here." But I'm like, you're trying to make sense out of something that doesn't make any sense. You're literally, here's what it's like, Chris. I grew up on Long Island, New York, Rusey Kinney Elementary School. My first grade teacher was Mrs. Rich. My second grade teacher was Mrs. Britt. First through third grade was downstairs. Fourth through sixth was upstairs. That was pretty much what Eddie Kingston's doing. He's going across the hall. He ain't even going upstairs. The man is literally going across the hall. He's at AEW. I'm going to go across the hall to Ring of Honor. That's it. That's what he's
Yes.
doing.
Yes.
It makes no sense.
That is too funny. That is funny. He's making it sound like he's going to a totally different company under totally different management. It's the same guy that's running both freaking companies. Like, come on, Eddie.
And I said to you with Bryan Danielson talking about going home, I think it's either maybe he'll take some time off, or like I said to you, he wants to go back to his roots, Ring of Honor.
I didn't think about that. That's a very good possibility. If you want to get some people to tune into Ring of Honor and get the Honor Club, definitely having Bryan Danielson over there is definitely the way to go. I'd have no issue with that whatsoever.
Right. Bringing Eddie Kingston going over here crossing the hall. I'm going to go across the street, but I swear it's totally different
It's
than when I
totally
was.
different over here.
It's completely different.
That is too funny. Too funny. All right, we got two shows here to talk about. We got AEW Revolution and we got NXT Roadblock. Which one would you like to start off with first?
We'll start with Roadblock.
Okay, cool. All right. NXT Roadblock on this past week's NXT. I like the opening with Tiffany Stratton doing her epiphanies with the opening of the show. How do you feel about that?
You mean Tiffany's Epiphanies?
Tiffany's
Toodles. Yes.
epiphanies. I loved it.
Toodles.
I love her.
She's
There's
great.
so much potential with her. So much potential. She's gotten a lot better in the ring too.
I've noticed that, and I mean, I think she has like a gymnastics background, but when I look
Oh,
at a
okay.
girl, yeah, when I look at a girl like that, like size, stature, that's the future. She's got that like mean girl, when I'm daddy's little girl, I'm like a spoiled rich kid, but it works for her. Like she's good looking, I'm better than everybody, and it works for her. And I like her. I think she's got, like you said, bright future. That's definitely someone to get into the women's division with.
Yes, yes. I could definitely see her being a future NXT Women's Champion as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we'll talk more about that when we get to the main event, but I think that's a possible first runner-up opponent for Roxanne Perez.
Cool, cool. All right, we had our opening contest. It was a jailhouse street fight between Tony D'Angelo and Dijak. This match was actually a lot better than what I was expecting it to be. These two were going at it. How do you feel about this match?
Well, first of all, somebody called the Big Boss Man and the Mountie for what we had back in the day. This was like the old replay of that,
Yes, yes.
but with the jail cell in actually in the arena there. All right, Tony D'Angelo. First of all, they stiffed and potatoed the hell out of each other, and it was great to see because it showcased that hatred. The story of also as well Stacks, sacrificing himself for the Don, if you will, and. For me, I really like the fact that they're giving Tony D'Angelo the time to shine. The fact that Dijak is not T-Bar anymore and is not doing the retribution crap, and they're actually letting Dijak be Dijak is amazing. Like these two have great chemistry together, and I really like the fact that Tony D'Angelo got the win. He got his revenge back on Dijak, and maybe continues the feud even more when we get into LA. But I think with what we did here, it develops more with the Stacks Tony D'Angelo relationship, and it also just puts Dijak in his place. You know what I'm saying? So I think on both sides of the coin of the spectrum, it leaves it open for more down the line, but also at the same time, god dang it, man, they went out and they fought, and it was brutality personified.
It definitely was. I didn't know what to expect with this one, but these guys, I'm like, man, these guys are giving it their all. They're going at it here. And Tony D'Angelo, he's actually getting some cheers here. He's actually getting like a babyface reaction. That was a nice surprise as well. But I was very impressed. Both of these guys bought the fight. They put on a very solid opening match to get the thing started for the Roadblock show. I enjoyed it.
Same. I would say do more of it. And what I mean by that is too, like also Tony D'Angelo, like you talk about getting the cheers. It's like he's slowly turning into a babyface. It's not like Rush, he's still the Don,
No.
what I'm saying? But it's a slow turn towards the babyface direction.
It definitely is. I was very impressed with these matches. Props to both of these guys. They put on a hell of a match. Hell of a match. All right, and then we had a little promo backstage. Mackenzie Mitchell was talking to Roxanne Perez. She's basically talking about, she's got a lot on her plate. She's got this big matchup coming up with Miko Satomura, and also too, she wants to be able to retain the title and be able to defend it at Stand and Deliver. And I got to give a lot of props to Roxanne Perez because she wins the title because obviously the whole thing with Mandy Rose and everything. And that was kind of a tough position because Mandy Rose had been champion down there for a long time, rejuvenated her career, was doing very good as the champion. And obviously the whole thing, happened when she got released and everything with the whole website and all that different stuff. And then Roxanne Perez jumped right in and became the champion. And I think they were slowly starting to. I don't know if they were ready right at that moment to put the title on her. I think they were going to start kind of grooming her for that role, but she jumped right in, and I think she's handled things quite well as the champion, considering the circumstances. I feel.
I think she's the white meat baby face that everybody can get behind, and I think with her, like, she just has that glow and that vibrancy and personality about her that's very, that has that gravitational pull and people can get drawn to. I think they were going to originally do it on like the first of the year, like after the new year, but unfortunately with everything that went down, Mandy Rose, she won it there. And I mean, ever since she's won the title, she's went with the ball rolling. Like, I enjoyed her match in Charlotte with the Toxic Attraction and the Triple Threat. And I think she's hitting it on cylinders. And we'll talk about Mako, but yeah, she's become the future of the brand, and I think the future is bright for Miss Roxanne Perez. And I mean, I like it. I think for the babyface role, the babyface champion that is the underdog, but also she can kick ass and take names. I think it suits her very well.
It definitely does, and I'm happy for her. I want to see more of her. She's been very impressive. So, like I said, the sky's the limit for her. The sky is the limit for her, and I'm happy. I just want to see her just continue to grow and succeed on the NXT brand.
Same, man. And I mean, the last thing I'll really say about Roxanne Perez here, when you're in the Royal Rumble and you're getting that moment, like they see a lot
Yes.
in you for that. But also at
hmm
the same time, like if you want to really really introduce and really highlight the youth movement of what you're doing, showcasing the youth, this is the future. What better way to do it? So I mean, I think from their marketing standpoint and how they're presenting her as a character and the overall storytelling aspect, I think they're hitting on all cylinders.
Absolutely. And next up, we got a couple of segments throughout the course of the night with these individuals. Yeah, this whole relationship with Kiana James and Brooks Jensen, and she was back they were there at the office, and it was Josh Briggs and Kiana James talking to basically saying like since Valentine's Day things have been kind of different with them, and there's definitely something going on with this because you saw the flowers there on the desk, you saw her take the note and kind of hide the note. Something is going on there, and Fallon Henley, you can definitely tell she knows something is going on with this whole situation as well. She really kind of playing him, like what is going on? Is there another guy? in the picture there? Could could it be Josh Briggs? Could that be a little twist in the storyline? I don't know, but there's definitely something going on with this whole situation. How do you feel about this whole thing with Kiana James and Brooks Jensen and everything? How do you feel about all this?
First of all, I just want to say I love you, Chris, because I was actually going to say, watch, it's Josh Briggs putting the flower.
Yes, I didn't think about that at first. I said, wait a minute. I said, what if it's him? There's something going on there. That would be an interesting plot twist for
Well,
sure.
and the whole thing that has got me is the fact that he was like trying like how I should kiss. You come 80, you come 20. I'm like,
Yes, yes.
did they really just make a Hitch reference?
I was gonna say yes. They went back to Hits. One of my favorite movies as well. I love Hits. Yes.
All I gotta say is that all folks, when you're going in for a kiss, always chuck the inhaler. I digress. So
Yes, Chuck the Haley. Yes, yes, it's a must.
I love it. And teach you how to whistle and dance. The Q-tip. The Q-tip.
The
Anyway.
Q-tip. Yes, the Q-tip. Yes. Do the
Oh
Q-tip.
man, but no, I popped because he was like doing that. I'm like, okay, this is great. And I know here's the
It's good
problem as
stuff.
well with people in NXT. People, oh God, what are they doing with this comedy? First of all, comedy wrestling, you need that. It's
You
funny, and
need
it's
that.
like
It's a healthy balance. Yes, you need that.
right. And this is where I'll just go briefly into this, and I appreciate the rants as always. But it's like when people talk about Jack Swagger and I like this hat, and I'm like, that is the most ridiculous hat. It makes him
That's
look like a
stupid.
cross.
I don't
It
know.
makes him look like a cross between LL Cool J and Run DMC, for God's sake. Saying I'm bad, he needs love. Sometimes I stare at the wall, and then you have Dominic Mysterio over here being that simp, and it's funny, and you want to see him get his ass kicked. There's a difference. He's supposed to be a joke. Jack Swagger, Jake Hager, is this big guy, the American, Big Jake, you know what I'm saying? He was this MMA fighter, and you're making him look like a goof. That's the difference. And I know you think he's quite boring, Mr. Chris Durham. We've had this conversation.
Yes, yes. I'm not a fan. No, he's very dope.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, tirade over. I will say this when it comes to Josh Briggs, when it comes to Brooks Jensen, I like it. I think it's going to go somewhere where Kiana James and Fallon Henley, and I think we saw who their next challengers are going to be. We're going to get to that as well. But god dang it, man. Like, if it's Josh Briggs, like it was Sonya Deville with Mandy and Otis and that whole situation there from a few years ago, I will pop because you're the first one who brought it to attention and you and I say wavelength. But man, there's something there. I want to see what it
Yep.
is. You have me hooked. I like it.
I like it too. Like I said, you need stuff like that in wrestling. It's a healthy balance. Everything can't just be serious, just always focusing with the in ring stuff. You need that balance of good comedy. You see a lot of bad comedy, but if it's good comedy and it works and it fits with the storylines and everything, I have no issue with it.
Okay. And you also have Brooks Jensen acting like the shy teenager who just like
Yes.
no, well, here's the thing here,
Yes.
Chris. It's like any TV show when the guy or the girl gets their first kiss and then they shut the door slowly and then they're like, ah, like that's
Yes.
exactly what it
Yes. Yes.
and I'm like, this is literally a sitcom. This is like, you get your first kiss, you're walking the girl home, and then you're just all up against the door and so
Yes, yes,
flustered.
that is definitely Jensen for sure. He is definitely that dude from those sitcoms. That is definitely him.
Like, that's great. And first of
It's
all, it's
good
not.
stuff. It's good TV. I love it.
But the thing is, it's not just that as he's playing the character, but everybody can relate to that.
That's
That's why
very
it's so
relatable.
awesome.
You can we all yes, that is something that is very very relatable. That's a good thing. That is
Yes.
definitely a good thing. You need that. There's nothing wrong with that.
And the fact that okay, I'm just going to say this as well. The fact that they also implied that he hurt his finger because he was doing that. Yes, I'm talking that, trying to act like like he's a virgin and stuff. I'm like, okay, that's pretty funny. It's
That is
subtlety,
that's
but
that's
it's
good
funny.
stuff. Subtle but funny. Yes, good stuff. I love that. Yes, yes, yes. Good stuff. Then we had this whole thing with Gallus and Pretty Deadly. I don't know about you. I kind of tuned out for this. This did nothing for me. This didn't really interest me whatsoever. I don't know how you felt about it, but this didn't do anything for me with these two. This is like no. I'm sorry.
Yes, boys, side check plate. No, I
Yeah,
mean, well, for me, this is an NXT UK feud, and I think what a lot of people. And here's the thing: I love NXT UK, but not a lot of people watched it. And I think with these
yeah,
two, the history goes back to the fact that Pretty Deadly beat them for the NXT UK tag team titles, and now they want it back. They lost their mojo. Now they have their mojo back, and they're trying to sneak attack. Excuse me, Gallus, and that'll be the tag match for next week. Um, I think they're great as a team. The flamboyancy of Pretty Deadly. They can wrestle, they can work, but it's that gimmick is not for everybody. Gallus, we haven't seen them in months since they got suspended, and obviously Joe Coffey is still, I believe, in the UK, and now that's why we have Mark and Wolfgang over here, Wolfie. It's an NXT feud that a lot of people can't really, get into, but they like Gallus, they like Pretty Deadly, but it's just like it's kind of like, okay, like they want their titles back, but they kept getting beaten up. They'll do anything, but it's like, boys, all you have to do is ask. And then they try to sneak attack them. They did. And now this week they tried again, and Gallus gets the upper hand. And I'm just like, I'm very meh with it. I don't hate it, but I'm meh.
Same. That's exactly how I felt. Because I would watch a little NXT UK, but I wouldn't watch it like consistently or anything like that. So I wasn't familiar with these teams until I just saw them, here on the regular NXT. So I guess if you weren't following NXT UK, you really don't know like the history between these two, which is a fair point. Fair point. Like you said, a lot of people weren't watching NXT UK on a regular like that.
And here's the thing, like he's brought over a lot of people like Stevie Turner, being Shawn Michaels. He's brought over, the Alba Fires. He's brought over all these people from NXT, Isla Dawn. Like it's great to see that mix, but those are more that we've seen before. Like a lot of us really haven't seen Stevie Turner, and we're gonna see more of her because I'm gonna say right now the gimmick of the Twitch streamer, the gamer, but she can also like I like that because it plays into modern day technology and modern day people are into. So that works, and I think we're going to get introduced more to them. But I think what the disconnect is, a lot of people have not seen a lot of the NXT UK product.
Yeah, that's fair. That is definitely a fair point for sure. All right, our next matchup, we got some six-man tag team matches. We got the Creed brothers and Braun Breaker teaming up to take on Indashare. How do you feel about this matchup?
First of all, Julius Creed goes up and does a 450 splash.
Yes, I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, where did that come from? I wasn't expecting that.
Like Jesus, friggin', like, oh my god, Julius Creed and who's the other one? I know it's Julius Creed. Who's the other one? The big guy. It's Julius. What the hell's his other name? Oh my god, that's got.
I forgot. I gotta look it up now. I don't remember it offhand.
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up.
The one Creed brother there. Brutus Creed. I think it's Brutus. Yeah.
I think it's Brutus Creed.
Thank you. So the one that does the cannonball.
Yeah, Brutus Creed. Yes, that's it.
Thank you. The one that does the cannonball, Brutus Creed. I had my mind. I had a
yeah, I know. It's easy to get them mixed up. I don't know.
Okay. So Brutus Creed is the one who does the cannonball. Then here comes Braun Breaker with the moonsault. It's like, okay, like Braun, we've seen him do the standing moonsault. Like, all right. And then this man just comes out here with a 450, and I'm like, what is
I'm like, whoa. I'm like, where did I've never seen that before from them. You don't see them do that type of stuff. They're more, ground and pound. They don't do that type of high flying type of stuff. You don't expect that from them.
Right, and it worked because they're lifting Sanga and Veer, they're suplexing them, they're kicking the crap out of each other. You got Jinder, the veteran there, who's working his butt off as well. Like, they mesh so well together because obviously it brings the feud of Braun and Jinder. It brings the feud of the Creed brothers and Indashare. Like, it worked. I think everything gelled and meshed very well, and I think the right team went over because last time we saw Indashare get the win, and having them finally get the win, that decisive win, may not in tag match, but six-man tag and getting a win over them, it leads to another match to be the rubber match, so to speak. So I thought the right team went over and everybody worked their butts off.
They definitely did. This was a very good tag team match. All six of these men definitely brought it. I was very impressed. Very good six-person tag team match for sure.
And I'll say this to people if people still want to hinder on the gender, and yes, I'm going back to hinder the gender. They played a video package of him like I was the former WWE champion, United States champion. That also brings legitimacy for those who want to rag on Jinder Mahal. Like Jinder Mahal is legit, but also on the same token here, if I was Jinder Mahal, would I rather be? And like I said, I love Drew Gulak coming down here too. The veterans helping out the NXT talent. I think it's wonderful to have that mix. If I'm Jinder Mahal, would I want to be on main event on the network, which nobody watches main event? Or would I be working with the young talent NXT on USA Network every week? I think I know what I would pick.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer right there. I feel that is exactly. A no-brainer.
Think about that, folks. Would you rather be on main event or on NXT?
There you go. Simple as that. Simple as that. All right, next up, we had the Waller effect with HBK, and this got pretty heated. This got pretty personal, and we got them singing HBK song. Got some HB Shizzle chants in the mix there. This was a very, very strong segment. Grayson Waller has definitely grown on me as a character, as a heel. He is definitely embracing that character, and obviously, getting to work with the legend Shawn Michaels. I mean, that just elevating his stock even more so. How do you feel about this segment?
Well, when you say HB Shizzle, it takes me back to 2006 with DX and Crime Time. Whoa, 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 whoa! I got this. I speak Johnny,
Yes.
and I'm just like,
Yes. I'm like, wow.
and it's
That was great. That
and
was
it's still
great.
funny.
It's
And
still
then
funny all these years later. It's still amazing. It really, really is.
and I got to bring the other part up because he's like, "Oh, you want that money? I don't know you, man. I don't
I
know
don't
you.
know you, man.
I don't
I
know
don't
you,
know you.
man."
I don't know you.
And
Same
then,
time.
bam!
Same
Oh,
time. Same time.
Jesus! And he's like, "Oh, Jesus! What's wrong with him? I thought he had a gun. No, he doesn't have a gun."
That was so good. That was good.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
rest in peace,
That's
Shad.
good stuff.
Rest
Yes,
in
yes,
peace,
definitely
Shad.
rest in peace to him. Definitely rest in peace to
Oh,
Shad and JP.
but
Oh man, good. Those are good promos. Good segments. Good stuff. Taking me back.
yes, but HB Shizzle in the Hizzlefo Shizzle. Okay. HBK, the chance, the sexy boy, going into that. First of all, Grayson Waller, he's like, the only reason you're here is because your mate had a heart attack. And I'm like, oh, we're
I
going
know.
there already.
I said, ouch. I said, man, he went there. I said, man.
It's like, we're going there already. And I'm like, here's the thing. Grayson Waller is a friggin' star. Put him
He
on the
is. I
roster.
got
The man is good. He can talk. He's athletic. Give me some
yes.
more Grayson Waller. This
Absolutely.
this segment
Absolutely.
right here, it even though it wasn't going to happen, it made me want to see a future match between Grayson Waller and Shawn
Oh
Michaels.
yeah, for sure, for sure. You knew that probably wasn't going to be the outcome because they had been rumors saying that probably going to have somebody represent
Right.
him. But yeah, I would definitely be down for that full one-off. Absolutely, absolutely.
And you had Shawn fire up because he doesn't want him disrespecting the brand and everything that he built. The fire from Shawn, the fire from Grayson. And we talked about this. Like, I'll just say, folks, if you've not watched this whole segment, watch it. It's electric. It's awesome. But at the same time here, Chris, like, we saw Dragon Lee in the crowd. And we're thinking to ourselves, okay, and I brought this point to you as well. Like, okay, is it going to be Dragon Lee because they're hyping up Dragon Lee and whatnot? Are they going to have him go against Grayson Waller? But then out of nowhere, your opponent's this man, and I've been saying this for months, and we were so happy. We were both, all about it. Chris, Johnny
Yes,
Gargano comes back,
yes.
and we're gonna
Johnny
get
freaking
Gargano.
wrestling.
Yes, and we're gonna get Johnny Gargano and Grayson Waller. Let me tell you something. What that is, folks, right there. Hashtag long-term booking. It works. It works because we all wanted to see Johnny come back and get his revenge on Grayson Waller, and here we are.
Yes, it has come full circle. Like you said, long term booking, long term storytelling. It makes sense. And of course, we all know he's a big fan. Johnny's a big fan of HBK as well. So it all just adds up and just makes sense. It's like perfect. You get Johnny back in NXT going up against Grayson Waller. It's a win-win all across the board. You can't go wrong with any of that. You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
You also have to take into account like Johnny Gargano is like the Shawn Michaels of NXT. So I mean, it's like
Yeah,
Johnny Takeover, Mr.
Johnny Gargano.
NXT.
Yeah,
It works. And the thing too here is as well, like I don't even care who goes over. I just want to see the match. Like it makes for great,
absolutely.
but it makes for Grayson to go over to get that big win on a takeover. But it's also like at the same time, it's like, okay, maybe Johnny can win to get his revenge finally. So it could go either way, and it's a big match for him. And then there's these idiots that are like, oh, Johnny Gargano got demoted to NXT. I'm like, one, it's not a demotion, and number two, it's a one-off. It's not like he's going to be there forever. It's a one-off. Sometimes you
Right.
need that one-off. And also it brings more eyes to LA that want to go see NXT because Johnny Gargano's on the card.
Yes, that's what you want to do. Mania weekend, you want names on the card. You want names on WrestleMania. You want names for Stand and Deliver. You want names that are going to get people to tune in. And Johnny Gargano is a name that will get you to tune into that show.
That was my point with last month when they had the New Day win the tag titles and everybody's like, oh, and I'm like, well, it makes sense, number one, because then the New Day could say they've won all three tag titles, number one. But also, number two, who doesn't want to work with Kofi and Xavier? Xavier started in NXT from his early days when he was doing the 90s stuff. He had the afro, but this is the early days when he was with friggin' the Funkadactyls and he was feuding with Brodus Clay. For those that remember that, remember Xavier Woods used to come out with Naomi and Cameron very briefly.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I remember that. I remember that.
But that's the thing too. Like that was the epitome of the beginning stages of NXT was Xavier Woods and Kofi. Like Kofi being in NXT is awesome. So I mean, you brought the New Day in for the names, and exactly what you're doing now with Johnny Gargano, and it works. It works perfectly.
It definitely does. It definitely does. I'm definitely looking forward to that one for sure. All right, next up, we got Gigi Dolan versus JC Jane. First off, JC, I've been very impressed with her promos and stuff the last couple of weeks and everything because she kind of with the whole toxic attraction thing. Obviously, Mandy Rose, Gigi Dolan is Gigi Dolan, but JC kind of got lost in the shuffle. But she's been very impressive as of late to me, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what she does moving forward. Because obviously, I know Gigi, she's going to be a big star down there for them, but I think JC's going to have her moment to shine as well. How do you feel about this matchup with these two?
First of all, the fact that we're really going there with you remind me of my mother, and I'm like, oh, we're really going there with the
We
whole.
really going
We're
there.
really
I was
going
like, we
there.
getting personal here. I said, wow.
Really going there. Okay, but no, I think it told a great story of, all right, I trusted you with my secrets. We were best friends, and now you want to betray my trust. I'm gonna mess you up. So we got that between Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. By the way, the finish came out of nowhere. Like she hits the pump
It
handle and
did.
the
Yeah.
bridge. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's it?
You know what I'm saying? I was like, huh? That's it? That's all we're getting? I said, come on now.
Right, but that's the thing too. It also builds to JC with the attack afterwards, and that'll lead to her getting the big win in LA. But I I thought it was very interesting how they went with Gigi Dolan gets the win, the babyface gets the win in the first match, and now we're going to this. So I think it's going to be very telling to see where they go. I think Gigi Dolan become a top babyface for the female brand. I think Jace could be the top heel. I think splitting them apart is going to be good in the long term because both can wrestle individually, and I think they've learned a lot from Mandy Rose and they've established themselves from that entrance, from their character, from everything that they do, the overall subtleties, intricacies, and nuances. I think they'll both do just fine, and also it continues more into the feud.
Mm-hmm. It definitely does. And I was talking to one of my other friends about this. It's great that they're going their separate ways, having their feud and everything. That's all great. But with the tag team division being so kind of weak right now on both ends, would you at some point put those two back together? Because if you want to build up the tag team division on both sides for the main roster and NXT, you need some tag teams, and they were an established tag team down there. Would you have split them up, or at some point would you put them back together? Or you think it's just best for them to just split, go their separate ways, and just go the single route with them?
First of all, Chris, you know I got to mention this to you because you're my dude and I love you to death. But Chris Durham just made a nice little pop culture reference. We were talking about going your separate ways. I feel like it's never a right time to say goodbye, to quote Chris.
Yes,
And
yes,
number two,
yes,
and number
yes, yes, yes.
and number two, when you're talking about your separate ways, I feel like Avant. And now that we're separated, we can't stand one another. Taking it back to
There,
2000,
bam.
but
There you go. There you go. You go. There you go. Gotta get those pop culture references in there.
hell to the yes, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I
Absolutely.
digress.
Absolutely.
Gigi Dolan, JC Jane, put them back together down the line. Absolutely. I think for a toxic attraction, reboot or a toxic attraction rerun or reunion, if you will, rerun. But I will say this, dude, how many times did the beautiful people over the years get back together, separate, get back together, separate, get.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We saw that so many times with them. So many times with them. And I know those are my girls. I love both of them. Shouts out to Angelina. Shouts out to Velvet. Love both of those girls. They've been so good to me over the years. So yeah, we saw that many times with them, and it
So
was we appreciated it every single time.
Right. So I can see them doing that with Toxic Attraction in the future. But I think for right now, let them spread their wings, fly away to a place that I've longed for, to quote Troop. And let's just let them do their thing and just have fun and let them really shine through with their singles aspirations and endeavors.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. I like it. I like it. All right, and we got Braun Breaker coming out there calling out one and only Carmelo Hayes. So looks like finally we getting Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes at Stand and Deliver for the NXT title. And I think it's time. I mean, Braun Breaker's been a good champion. He had a nice little run, but I think it's Carmelo's time. I want to see Carmelo get that belt. He just keeps getting better and better. I love him. Him and Trick Williams. I love them together. It's time. Well, Carmelo Hayes, he's been just killing it down there. He was a great North American champion. Now it's time for him to step it up and win the big one, win the NXT championship, which I think will happen at Stand and Deliver.
We've come to the point now where they're mixed cheering. They're doing a little mixed reaction for Braun. A lot of boos
Yes.
and a little cheers.
Yes.
Here's the thing. we're not at the point when Bo Dallas was the NXT champion and everybody, every time Bo would come out, they would turn their backs on Bo Dallas, which was a thing for those who watch early NXT when he was the champion as that heel. They would turn their backs on him. Well, he was a face, not going to be a heel. He was like that delusional baby face. They turn their backs on him because it's like, no, we don't want Bo Dallas as the NXT champion. No, thank you, sir. So we have this particular situation where Braun's had it already too long. It's enough. I've enjoyed the reign, but all good things must come to an end. And Carmelo Hayes is white hot right now. And also, I'm a little biased because he mentioned Tevin Campbell all those months ago. Chris Stern,
Yes,
you
he
know
did.
what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So when it comes to someone like Carmelo Hayes, Dudes has an exceptional promo ability. He's a tremendous athlete. It is time to put it on a new champion, and it's the A champion. He is I am him. Put it on Carmelo Hayes.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And I think he'll be a great champion as well. He just got the athleticism, he's got the charisma and everything, he's got the look and everything. He will be a great champion for that brand for sure.
And also the fact that Trick Williams makes me laugh every time where he's like, yeah, the A champ, and he's all like hyping him up and just
Yeah, no, yeah, no, he got his own personal hype man. You gotta love it.
And here's the thing, Trick Williams can not only wrestle just because of his size and stature, but he's funny and he's
Yeah,
entertaining.
he's got charisma and personality. Absolutely.
And he's acting like, well, the thing that got me like the other week was like he's acting like, oh yeah, I'm about to knock out Dragunov. Yeah, that's what's up. Why don't you come get some Dragunov? And I'm just like, oh, here we go. And that's what made me laugh about it because he hypes himself up and it's great.
Yes, it's good stuff. Like I said, we all need that personal person to hype us up sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I love it. I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be mad if those two won the tag team titles at some point too. Those two would make a great tag team. I have
Oh,
no issue with
absolutely.
that.
And take it back to the barbershop? Absolutely. Oh, can you
Yeah,
imagine
hey.
the barbershop segments of them with the titles just getting.
Oh man, that would be some good stuff. That would be some good promos right there. I'm digging that for sure. All right, we got Andre Chase taking on Joe Gacy. Before that, we saw Thea Hale back there with Tyler Bate, just kind of meditating, just kind of getting over her whole fear and everything, or what she experienced a few weeks back, as he's kind of getting over her fear, getting her confidence back. First off, the whole Chase U stuff, I wasn't sure about that at first, but it's getting over. It's really, really is. It's just working. Andre Chase and the classroom segments, it's good stuff. Thea Hale, I think it's kind of protecting her, being in that group and everything, kind of getting her feet wet and getting used to the brand. Having her wrestle occasionally and everything, just doing more just like promos and stuff. And it's just it works. It's really gotten over with the crowd and everything. So, how do you feel about this matchup? How do you feel about Chase U as a whole?
You mean that's a teachable moment? Yes. I will
That
say
is a teachable. That is
teachable
a
moment.
teachable moment.
Give me a
Yes,
C. Give me an H.
yes. I love it. And he wears Jordans. So I'm a Jordan fan, so I love him wearing the Jordans too. So it's just great. I love Andre Chase and Chase U. Love it. Good stuff.
I will say this, Chris. As long as I've known you, I would have never known that you were a Jordan fan. No, not at all, Chris. I would never
I
know
know,
that.
right? I know, right?
So,
Shocking, right?
so in regards to Chase U, I'm going to say this right now. What wins everybody over is the fact where he's like, when he starts cursing, he's like, "Did I say you can interrupt my fucking class?" And he just goes
Yes,
off. And, like,
yes. I love that.
and
I
you know
love
my
that.
favorite, and I'm going to mention from the pep rally. What kind of question is that, Dave? You think that's a 5-star question? Have
Oh
you ever even been in
yes,
the ring?
yes, yes. Like I said, when he said it, I didn't even think about that. But when you mentioned it, I said, "Oh yes, that makes sense. That's good stuff right there. That's great. That is
Like
great.
it's funny. Like he's entertaining. He can wrestle. Worth like he's a great
Absolutely,
wrestler.
very good wrestler. Very
He's a
good
good
wrestler.
wrestler.
It's not
And
just the comic stuff with him. He can actually wrestle and go out there. Absolutely.
and I think with adding Duke Hudson to this works because he's trying to be serious. The story of now is he's trying to be serious. We're a joke. How about we not worry about, Thea getting a win and giving her a trophy or, having her overcome her fears because, hey, at the same time, we still lost. But it also adds more layers to the whole Chase U against the schism. And like I mentioned, Ava Rain finally getting in the ring with Thea Hale. And Thea Hale, for her age, is so young, but she can work and she's a great character. She can either turn it on or turn it off. And it really does showcase what we could see from Ava Rain and how Thea will sell for her, how she will go with her when they go into the ring eventually. And I think it'll be a nice clash and styles there, but it'll be a nice little mix. I like the whole presentation out of everyone. I think the fact that and I'm going to say this right now. I know the former Harlan Parker Boudreaux is over there on AEW, and I can see why WWE got rid of him. I will say this, adding an established team like the Grizzled Young Veterans, I don't even know what their names are now in Schism. I will still call them the Grizzled Young Veterans.
Yeah, same,
That's
same,
all how
same.
I see it. That's how I see them. And the addition of Ava Rain, it works. I think the Schism is just going to continue to grow. I like Joe Gacy as this cult leader that's like, hey, four roots, one tree. Come over here, Chase. You can see what it's like over here. It's the cult-like mentality. I equate it's like when Boy Meets World had that cult episode where Sean is like, I feel lost. And he's like, do you feel centered? Come to the center. And he starts hugging everybody. Are you centered? And he joins a cult. You know what I'm saying? It's very cult-like. And he's trying to get students that are lost. It represents like, hey, what you know is wrong. This is how it should be done. I like that story, I like that dichotomy about it, trying to, expand your horizons, but all at the same time brainwash you. So I think it's going to be a great culmination when we finally get the match between Chase U and the Schism all together. But for what we saw here with Joe Gacy and Andre Chase, it made sense and it just furthers it along. I really enjoyed the match.
I did as well. I did for sure. Some good stuff right there. All right, and then we get our main event for the NXT Women's Championship. We got Roxanne Perez taking on Miko Satomura for the NXT Women's Championship. Thoughts on this one?
Well, they did the Owen Hart, Shawn Michaels, I'm a faint afterwards. Everybody kept bringing up on social media, which I will say this. Nicely done by Roxanne Perez. I mean, it establishes the fact that she got her butt kicked, won this by the skin of her teeth, and it took a lot out of her because you saw the training going into it and the overall intensity that is Mako Satomura. From their bout that they had 6 months ago, I mean, it was time for
Yes.
Roxanne to get the win, and they both worked hard. They both showed their strengths, and then Roxanne got the roll up and then the feint, like we mentioned. I want to see the rubber match. I liked what I saw here. I think having Mako on the brand to work with a lot of the young girls is awesome because of what she did in NXT UK. It also establishes her as the final boss, and I think the right person went over because I think they're going to do Roxanne and Tiffany Stratton coming up next for the heel side of things, or Lyra Valkyrie down the line as well. But if it were me and also represents the lights, the glamour of LA and Tiffany Stratton being that character, I think we're going to go from Mako to Tiffany Stratton. So I think that's what we're going to set up next. But between these two, I could watch him again for a rubber match, man.
Yeah, they have great chemistry. They definitely work very well together. And Roxanne, she sold that at the end with the feint and everything. That seems so real. They were all rushing to the ring. Even so Booker T get involved and everything. Obviously, that was one of his former students and everything. And Shawn Michaels came out there. They really that's just gonna help elevate her even more so as a baby face and everything as she continues to grow on the brand and grow as a champion. So it was very very good. And like I say, Tiffany Stratton is definitely in line. That's going to be a good feud as well. But overall, I thought this was a pretty solid show from top to bottom. How did you feel overall about this card? I thought it was solid to me. I enjoyed it.
For what we got, I thought it was really solid as well and establishes more going forward into LA. I mean, the top matches right now for LA is Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes and Johnny
Mhm.
Gargano and Grayson Waller. If those are the top two, I can't wait to see how the rest of the card progresses. I even said to you, and I'll bring this to your attention and the listeners here, Wes Lee needs an open challenge. If you want
Yes.
somebody to stand deliver, Dragon Lee.
Dragon Lee, yeah, that would be perfect. I would. That's a great way to bring him aboard, and those two would tear it down and have a very good matchup. I feel.
Me too. And I mean, did you also hear the news that Saray is going back to Japan? No more Saray in
I
NXT?
did hear about that. Yeah, because I almost forgotten about her because we hadn't seen her on TV in a while. Yeah, I almost forgotten about her.
I mean, and that's fine. She's pretty much going to do what Kushida's doing right now. Like, Kushida went back to Japan. Like, they'll be fine.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. She will be totally fine. No worries with that whatsoever. All right, that's the NXT roadblock. Now let's hop over to AEW Revolution. Now they had the pre-show AEW Revolution 0 hour. Did you get to watch that? They had a match on there. It was Ari Davari and Varsity Athletes versus the Lucha Bros and Mark Briscoe. Did you get to watch that? I didn't get to see any of that. Did you know anything about that? Did you watch that?
I did watch it. I thought the match was solid. The right team went over. Mark Briscoe's team going over there, reach for the Sky Boy, so it adds more to Mark dedicating it to his brother, and just a fun opener all in all. And I mean, you knew the varsity athletes, whatever they're called now, and I feel so bad for Tony Nese because I like Tony Nese, but him, Ari Davari, and poor Josh Woods are getting lost in the shuffle. They're just out there to just put people over in there. Like I said, and here's another one of my problems with Tony is he signs everybody. and there's
Yes.
too many people on the card, and everybody gets lost in the shuffle. And I'm going to make an example of that. What in the worldwide world of sports, what in the blue hell, to quote The Rock, are we doing with Keith Lee now? He's wearing a cape like he's Hulk Hogan in the early 80s being managed by classy Freddie Blassie, and he's calling himself the Phantom now. I don't want to hear about how bad Bearcat is and how, oh, Keith Lee came to AEW. What are they doing to Keith Lee? And he's teaming with Dustin Rhodes to go against Swerve Strickland and Shane and Parker Bordeaux, and the other guy, I think his name is Treach, not to be confused with that other Treach, Naughty by Nature, not because I hate you, Chris Durham.
Oh,
But,
yes.
God, what are they doing to Keith Lee?
I don't know. That is so sad and so frustrating because you look at a guy like Keith Lee with his athleticism, a guy his size that can move as well as he does. That could be a world champion for your company, and now you're doing this with him. It's just it's frustrating. It's very very frustrating. And they thought, and the people were thinking, like I said, you thought WWE was using him poorly. This is 10 times worse. And that
And
was one of the
why?
things I worried about with AEW. You signing all these names, great. What are you gonna do with all that? It's great to have all these names, your Keith Lees, your Cesaros, your Adam Cole. You got all these names and everything. That's all well and good. Okay, now what you gonna do with them? You got all these. You only got so much TV time you can use. You got Dynamite, you got Rampage and everything, but you can't fit everybody's not gonna get equal TV time. They're
And it
not.
and it makes no sense because Swerve and his group take him out with the friggin' cinder blocks, and then all of a sudden he's like, "I'm going to go against this generational talent," and then he's going against Brian Pillman Jr. and he's like, "You keep running your mouth, Dustin, and see what happens." And I'm like, "Why are we feuding with Dustin Rhodes now? This makes no effing sense out of nowhere."
Yeah.
As I like to call it, Tony Khan out of mothballs, and he takes these feuds out of mothballs. My voice is going to hurt every time I keep doing that, but I don't care. It's worth it. So anytime that we get to see that, and Swerve Strickland, just it made no sense. And then Keith Lee comes back and he's in the cape, and he what did he do to his hair? He looks like he has like gray hair, and I'm like, what did he? Why did you dye it that hair? He looks ridiculous, and I'm like, what are we doing here? It makes no sense. It's like I said with QT Marshall, it makes no sense. It was like a couple weeks ago when the Young Bucks, they were doing their best Space Jam impression, and they were in
Yeah.
the freaking they were dressed in playing basketball, and then here
Yeah.
comes friggin' Matt Hardy, Ethan Page, and oh my God, who's the other one? Matt Hardy, Ethan Page, and Isaiah Cassidy, Private Party.
Yeah.
So
High
they're
party. Yeah.
so they're going and they're like, oh, you want a challenger for the trios title? How about us? And I'm like, wait a minute. You have made Matt Hardy's life a living hell with this. We own your contract, Matt, and all. Now all of a sudden you're getting along and you want to go for the trios championship. What? What are
Come
you
on now.
talking
Come
about
on
right
now.
now?
What are we doing here? Like, come on now. Ugh.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense whatsoever. It really, really doesn't.
And I'm not picking on him, but like there's obvious flaws that are out there, and there's a lot of people, and I'm not gonna say it's just Tony, but if you criticize his booking, you're gonna feel a certain way, and it's like, no, I just would like my storylines and my wrestling to make sense. That does not make sense. Like
Yeah.
and I'm gonna say it before we even get to the match. The Saraya feud, the Saraya heel turn, this whole like female NWO that they got going on now with the spray paint, like it's friggin' the beautiful people mixed with the Bella Twins, mixed with the NWO. The heel turn came out of nowhere. It's like her and Tony Storm were just like chilling like villains, and then all of a sudden they're picking on Hikaru Shida, and then it's like, oh, we're the new breed. What? We're the newcomers to AEW. We're gonna take on that old guard, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and it's like again, out of nowhere, she had one match, Chris. One match against Britt Baker, and then it's like, oh my God, she's back. Then she has the tag match with Tony Storm, and then you know what? Let's make her heel.
Yeah, it just completely came came out of left field with that. If you wanted to do that like down the line and kind of build toward that, okay, I could see that. But there was no rhyme or reason like why they're doing this just out of nowhere. Hey, let's just make these two heel. These two people that are very popular, very over with the crowd. Let's just all of a sudden just make them heels. I have no idea.
I don't get it,
I'm just it's just very it makes no sense. You're like, why?
and it's
Why?
and
Like I
it's
said,
right,
it makes no sense. None whatsoever.
and it's like the first match we're gonna get into here with Ricky Starks and Jericho.
Yeah, let's
Like,
get into that. Ricky Starks and Jericho. Yes, let's get
right,
into this.
and I don't mean to cut you off, Chris, but it's
No,
like,
go ahead. No, go for it. Go for it.
all
Go for
right,
it.
cool, but yeah, I mean, well, you got me started over here, man. You're getting the blood flowing
You're
here,
getting the
but
blood flowing. That's okay. That's why I brought you on, man. And I want that. I want the full Mike Larkin experience. Yes.
thanks. But no, here's my problem with this: Ricky Starks and Chris Jericho. He already beat him. Like, why?
Yes, he did. Yeah, this city he didn't need this. Like, why?
Like, why are we doing this again? But as far as the match goes, I thought it was fine. It was exactly what you expected. Like, they were going to get involved. He hits him with Floyd, and then he goes for the Judas Effect counter. He hits him with the Rochambeau 1, 2, 3. That's all I really got to say. It wasn't a bad match, but it was
No,
kind
it
of.
wasn't a bad match. No, not at all. No, it wasn't a bad match. But I'm like, why are we going back when he already got the victory against him? Like, we didn't need this match.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's all I really can say about it.
Yeah, that's all we can say on that one. All right. Next matchup, the final burial match between Jack Perry and Christian Cage. Thoughts on this one?
Okay, here's my other issue with this one, and I'm not going to crap on all these, I swear, but I like the fact that we're going back to this because Christian unfortunately got hurt. I mean, they had that very short match that they had back at the pay-per-view months ago. But here's the thing, dude. Like, we haven't really had them have a match, so their first match is a final burial match. Like, that is something that would come towards the end, not something you would do at the beginning, if you know what I'm saying, because they never really got to have that match. And I understand it's been months and months and months, but you also look at it from a stance too as well. They did their thing. Jungle Boy got their intensity. Christian is Christian. And I thought the right person went over just because of all the years of the months of anguish and everything with the family wise and him not pulling the trigger and going against his former hero with the concerto. I thought that told a nice story. I did not hate the match. And it looks like Christian, with the word going around, is like, you read reports, but you really don't know until it's like suffices. But the rumor mill is that Christian is going to be done with AEW, if not soon already. And
Oh, really?
yeah,
Okay.
like that was like, I think that his like deal is coming to her end, or like at the pay per
Oh,
view.
wow.
So I'm gonna say this right now. I could see an Edge Christian reunion in the near future.
Hey, you never know. I hadn't heard about that. Okay, well, like what a way for him to go out like that, getting buried, and then next thing you know, he might end up having an Edge Christian reunion. Who knows?
That's what I'm saying. And I mean, if that is the end for Christian Cage and AEW, I'm okay, because that was a hell of a way to go out.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely a way to go out. That'll definitely get people talking for sure, man. Definitely. All right, we got the trios tag team titles on the line. We got the House of Black taking on the Elite. Thoughts on this one?
All right, I'm gonna say this from the storytelling side of things again. Here's the problem. No build. It was just they spoke on Rampage, and then here we are. And here's my thing with that. This is something that could have had more build to it. I like
Mhm.
the match. The right team went over. You do not
Yes.
have the Elite, who's the jokey McJokesters, who I like the Elite, High Octane Aerial Assault. I like the House of Black. I think Aleister Black has been killing it, Malachi, and Brody
Hmm.
King, and Buddy Murphy, Buddy Matthews. I enjoyed it. And the right team went over. And it makes sense because they're not losing to the Elite. I'm sorry. But I
No,
saw them announce that. I'm like, you can't have them lose. They're the most dominant trios right now. You have to have them win. And now, mind you, they're going to do a three-way next week with the Elite, the Jericho Appreciation Society, and them. So I'm excited to see that match. But in my case, for as far as this match goes, the right team went over.
absolutely. You had to have House of Black win this matchup because they're one of the best three-person teams you got over there. So it made sense. The right they had if they'd have lost this match, there'd been a lot of disappointed people. The Elite didn't need this win. The House of Black needed this win a lot more than what the Elite did.
And I'm excited that they're the champs now, and rightfully so, like I mentioned, because I think they're the hottest trios right now, and that
Yes,
entrance and that overall ambiance, it makes it worth it.
absolutely. Now we got the AEW Women's Title on the line. You got the champion Jamie Hayter taking on Ruby Soho and Saraya. Thoughts on this one?
She comes out giving the finger to everybody now. What happened? Like I said, she comes out smiling. I'm happy to be back, and all of a sudden it's like F you all. Like again,
Exactly. Like, wow. That's like, come on now.
like that just took a whole freaking 180.
It
Okay.
did. It did. Yeah. Happy to be back to now. F you all. Screw you all.
Again, makes no sense.
Yeah.
But
Just like out of nowhere. Really out of nowhere.
out of mothballs. It's out of mothballs, Chris.
Out of
Out of
mothballs. Yeah, there you go.
mothballs.
Out of mothballs. Mothballs. Yes.
Yes. Out of mothballs. Anyway, I digress. So you have Saraya Ruby Soho and Jamie Hayter. First of all, I like Jamie Hayter. Like that girl is
I
coming
do.
her own.
She's over.
She is great. I like
Yes.
Haters Gonna Hate. It's good.
Yes.
Um, Ruby Soho, finally they're doing something with her because I'm gonna say right
Yes.
now, Lost in the Shuffle was lost in the shuffle. Finally, like CC Peniston, Chris. Finally, they're doing something.
Finally.
So
Finally, there was a yes. Yes.
so they have the match. It's highly athletic throughout the whole entire thing. Jamie Hayter gets the pin on Ruby to retain, and then at the end of the match, we think, okay, she's going to side with Jamie and Britt. Here we go. No, hits her with Destination Unknown. Everything that goes into it. We know what I'm saying. The sister Abigail. I love it. Ruby Soho finally gets to be that heel that we all know and love her to be. She does the spray paint. It's like the AEW version of the Riot Squad. It's like the version of the NWO for females. It was good. It gives Ruby that edge and gives her something to do. Her promo on Dynamite did not disappoint. It made sense. It made her fire, made her fury. Then you got Toni Storm over here. Then you got Saraya. It made sense with the history between all of these ladies. I liked the angle at the end. I enjoyed the match. Jamie Hayter is awesome. Hit on all cylinders for me. I enjoyed the match.
Same here. Same here. Jamie Hayter is so over with the crowd right now. Love her as the champion. Happy they're finally doing something with Ruby Soho. Long overdue. So yeah, we just a win-win all across the board for sure with these ladies.
I'm just going to say one more thing before we move to the next match. So if anybody comes back from any triumph or any return, you know what I'm saying, like injury, like Saraya, just know this. I will be happy for you in that moment. But for every other moment, fuck you. That's what that's literally what you need to know. Yeah, thank you for supporting me in this moment, but go fuck yourselves. That's
Yeah.
what you
Yeah,
literally said.
yeah. That's pretty much it. All right, we got the Texas Death Match between John Moxley and Hangman Adam Page. Thoughts on this one?
If you've seen John Moxley bleed, it's nothing new. Here's what gets me about it. He bleeds every week. Why is this anything new? You know what I'm saying?
That's that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it fits. It's become a bit much. It does fit his character and persona, but just every week it's just okay. Just a little too much. You don't have to bleed every week. I get it's his character. It's who he is. It makes him who he is, but it's a bit much at times.
Here's my thing with this. I didn't hate the match, but I'm like, all right, it's a little much.
Yeah.
The ending with the hanging him and then he taps out. Okay, this one for me was just like whatever. It was what it was. And
Yeah.
for me, you know what it is, dude. I've seen better Texas Death Match with better storytelling, and I'll say this: like when Chris Harris and James Storm. Now I'm taking it back to TNA 2007, right? When
Uh,
they fought at Slammiversary, actually in Texas, in a
yes.
Texas Death Match, in Texas, Chris.
Yes.
So it started when James Storm hit Chris Harris with the bottle in the eye. He blinded him. Oh my God, this has been his friend and partner for years. How could he do this? And then they have the blindfold match, which sucked just to see how that would go, him being blindfold. Then they get to the Texas Death Match. Amazing. It made sense. Not that this doesn't make sense, but it's just like, okay, you knocked me out, and then we had the match, and then we're gonna have another match, and now, okay, let's do this here, and let's get bloody, let's go to war. And it's also turns from a slow turn to the Blackpool Combat Club becoming heels. But at the same time, like barbed wire, it was the barbed wire board. If you've seen John Moxley match, you've seen them all. Again, I didn't hate it, but I knew what I was going into, and it was what it was.
Yeah. I couldn't put it any better myself. You said
And
it
I'm not,
all.
and I'll say right now, we've talked about this. I'm not the biggest death match guy, and
Yeah. Same.
what I mean by that is like a lot of people like the slice and dice, like the Nick Gage and all that stuff. I don't hate you that you like it, but it's not my thing. And I hate to tell you and be the burst on people's bubble that it is a niche thing. It is a
It
niche product
is. It is.
that they think they're cool. I equate it to what we've talked about when these idiots want to go on Power Slap and slap the living bejesus out of each other and give themselves brain damage
Stupid.
for what? Nothing.
Stupid. No nonsense.
No,
No need
no,
for
no
that.
sense, no nonsense. So this is what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the people that go to the friggin' Juggalo Championship Wrestling events, Insane Clown Posse. Mind you, I love me some ICP, Chris, but I'm going to tell you right now. You know what type of people go to those shows, Chris?
What type of people?
The type of people that watch a Texas Deathmatch or watch Deathmatch Wrestling like we saw at Moxley Heyman Page. I'm going to tell you right now, they stink. They smell like body juice. They smell like funk. They don't even get washed. They don't even wash their underarms. They smell like a dumpster, Chris. A whole big dumpster fire. You can light that son of a bitch on fire. They're still going to stink. That's the type of people, Chris.
And you don't want to be those type of people. You
You don't
want to
want to be those.
bathe, you want to smell nice, you want to have a good set. You don't want to be that kind of person. Trust
Looking, smelling good like a bag of chips. That's all I got. Somebody put on some pretty Ricky Yo body. Boom.
Hey, there you go. Bam. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right, and we got the TNT Championship on the line. We got Wardlow taking on Samoa Joe. Thoughts on this one?
I'm going to say, first of all, I'm only joking, folks. I really don't mean that about people.
That's right. Yes. All kidding.
All kidding aside.
All in good fun.
So Wardlow and Samoa Joe. Dude, again, for me, I enjoyed it because of the storytelling of, okay, he cut Wardlow's hair, and it meant much because of the bomb of his father. If Wardlow didn't win this, I would have been pissed. And it would make no sense if Wardlow didn't win this because Samoa Joe has been dogging him. He's been going after him. And if Wardlow didn't finally get that recognition and win the title back for everything that Samoa Joe did through him, it wouldn't have made sense. You know what I'm saying? So having him choke him out with his own move, it made for perfect storytelling. It worked. Wardlow's finally back in that hunt. And then you see Powerhouse Hobbs in the balcony and the press box, if you will. Made sense. And we talked about this earlier, but now Wardlow having one of the shortest TNT Championship reigns, mind you, it got stolen from him. 5-finger discount, if you will. But boom, Powerhouse Hobbs is now the new champion after 3 days. So great story for at the time, but now Wardlow is now the shortest reigning TNT champ. But I did not hate the match.
No, I didn't hate the match either. But do you like the hot potato to kind of playing with this title? Because you had Joe had the title, Darby had it, then Joe got it back, then Wardlow has it, now Powerhouse Hobbs has it. Do you like the hot potato that they're doing with this title?
As I like to call it, the Wiggles Championship now, Chris. It's the Wiggles Championship. That's what
that's what it's become. That's definitely what it's become. Like I said, I had no problem with Wardlow winning, and I have no problem with Powerhouse Hobbs winning. But just like this back and forth, let them hold it for a little while. I mean, we could have held off for a little bit before we had Powerhouse Hobbs take it.
Well, it started for me with Darby. It's like, all right, I'm going to do the Tony Khan again. We're going to have Darby wrestle Samoa Joe to some town. We're going to have him win the title. Woo! And he gave him the title. Did he need the title win in his hometown? No, because he was in the middle of this hot and broiled feud with Wardlow, and you just had Darby in there as like a stopgap, and he had like a couple title fences. Then he lost it right back.
They had some good matches though.
They did.
Joe had some very good matches. They had very good chemistry.
Absolutely, but the point of the matter is he's already in a feud. Why do we have to have the hometown?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. You hit the nail on that one, right, for sure.
And I enjoyed it. But again, we're in a state of influx with this title where it's like, okay, we're going to go from Sammy to Guevara, then we're going to Darby Allin, then we're going to go to Samoa Joe, then we're going to go to Wardlow, then we're going to go back to Sammy Guevara, then we're going to go to Darby Allin, then we're going to go to Wardlow, then we're going to go to Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah.
That's it. Like,
yeah, that's it in a nutshell. You're absolutely right. That's what it's basically been with this build.
Okay, now QT Marshall have Powerhouse Hobbs. Next week, Wardlow, you will win the championship back. 7-day reign. Woo!
There you go.
It's what it's become. And again, that title had such the prestige. Like when Cody held it, and then they did the whole thing with Brody Lee, and then you had all this stuff. And then now it's just like, okay, here we are.
Like I say, who's gonna be the champion this week?
Yep, that's what we're doing.
Like I say, yeah. Hey, give it to me. I'll take the title. I'll take it for a week.
It's like when you're in SmackDown versus Raw 2010 and you're fighting because Legacy wants the title from Orton, and then you're beating him up, and then you want to steal his championship. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we're going to beat him up, so let's steal the championship and run away. It's like a video game storyline.
Yeah, that's what it pretty much is. That's what it pretty much is. Hopefully Hobbs keeps it for a while now, but at this point, who knows?
Yeah. But the match I did not hate. I actually thought it was
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, so we had a fatal four-way for the AEW Tag Team Championships. You got the champions, the Guns. You got the Acclaim. You got Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. And then you got Orange Cassidy and Dan Housen. Thoughts on this one?
If Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal were going to win, I would have quit just because I don't want to see Jeff Jarrett with a tag title.
I don't, even though I like them together. I like what they've been doing, but they don't need the tag team title.
Oh God. Well, Chris, oh God, if he wins next week the International Championship from Orange Cassidy, oh my God.
Oh my, can you imagine? Can you imagine what that?
Oh my God. It reminds me of if they do that, it reminds me of when AMW turned heel in 2005, and you had Jeff Jarrett beat Raven at a Border City Championship Wrestling show for the NWA title with Scott D'Amore, who was the promoter, and a Team Canada. They had the Canadian screw job back in 05. Oh my God, that's what it would
Oh my
remind me
goodness.
of.
Yeah, that's what it would be. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed the match. The Acclaim looked good. The Ass Boys, the Gun Club there. I didn't hate it. I thought they had a strong showing. They did what they
They've been
did.
impressive. I gotta give it
Right.
to them. They've been impressive.
And everybody else in there. I mean, from the Acclaim, from Orange Cassidy and Danhausen did their thing. It looks like Danhausen got hurt. His arm is in a sling on this
Sling,
past.
yeah, yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
They worked hard. I like the finish of the fact that it was like a shatter machine, but into like a flatliner, and it was
Yes, that was
aggressive.
cool.
That
That
was
was
a
cool.
cool move.
It
And
was.
the right team went over, and then FTR comes out, one of the belts, and it gives more gumption for okay, FTR, they've won all the tag titles, but they've never won, and they want back the AEW World Tag Team Championship. I'm cool with that, and it leads to them
Yes.
finally getting the guns.
Yes. I'd have no issue with that whatsoever. That would be very cool to see them go against each other and then eventually take the tag team titles from them.
I enjoyed it, man. Like I said, it good. I like the fact that FTR is back. Sign me up, more tag team wrestling.
Absolutely love tag team wrestling. And then we get our main event for the AEW World Championship 60-minute Iron Man match between the champ MJF and Brian Danielson. Thoughts on this one?
Don't throw water on a kid.
Yeah.
No, but that's what took it out for me. You know that, and well, also the fact that he said, "Is that going to make me lose the star, Dave?" All right, I cracked up with that. I thought that was quite
That was
funny.
funny. Yeah,
That was
that
great.
was funny. That was funny.
But like the story of this was like, can he hang for the full hour? Because Brian Danielson's done this before. He's
Oh
a
yeah.
technician. Like, could MJF hang? And I think he did. Like, they wrestled. It was good. They went back and forth. He worked over the shoulder. They worked over each other's legs. That elbow drop through the table was insane. I thought that was awesome. Uh,
Yes, that was good stuff.
his heat seeker, the pile drivers looked good. Everything was crisp. He low blowed him. That got him a DQ. And then he just pinned him twice for a quick pin while Brian Danielson was selling the shot to the nether regions, if you will. And then he went up with the yes lock and the overall the bell lock. Like, I like how they traded the falls. And then, as I said to you, I said they're going to go to sudden death. Like, he didn't tap out at the end at MJF. And then we went to sudden death. He hits him with the oxygen tank, puts him in his own submission, Chris, and he taps. And he taps. And MJF solidifies himself and symbolizes himself as the best in the world. Oh my goodness, the devil is still on top. He's even got a horn, as he put it in the media scrum. I thought, for what the story that they told going into this and this 67-minute match, I liked it. I thought it was a good main event.
It was. It was a very, very good main event. I mean, props to MJF. He hung in there. He hung in there the whole bout with him. He held his own for sure against one of the best wrestlers in the world in Brian Danielson. I was very, like I said, besides him throwing the water and stuff on the kid, everything was good with this one. I have no problem with this matchup. Very good main event. Very good way to close out the show.
And from top to bottom, like I said, I did not hate this. This was one of the better.
No, this was a better card.
It was a better card. Yeah, it was a better show for them. I mean, less trouble at the media scrums. I think Tony calmed himself down a lot from the
Yes.
last one. So I thought everything that went into that weekend was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, you had a lot of your, main. You got like your Warlow, your Hangman, the Guns, and I mean, a lot of their main people won. So that's a good thing too as well. Not just all the former just WWE people. They had some of their homegrown people who actually was winning. So I'm okay with that as well.
I mean, if they try to get CM Punk back, if that does work out, I think that's the match to have, is him and CM Punk for best in the world versus best in the world, the self-proclaimed best in the world. If they
Hmm.
can strike a deal and they can make it work for Punk to come back, that is the match.
Yes. Now, do you think that's a possibility? You think they could work things out? I'm still a CM Punk fan. I still love, despite all that went down, I still love CM Punk. If he comes back, if he's great, if he doesn't, that's okay too. But do you think that's actually going to happen?
I think he's gotten older, and I think it takes a toll on the Bate.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
But also
absolutely.
at the same time, like, he moves the needle with merch and he moves the
Yes,
needle with ratings. And
and
as
he
far as
cuts a hell of a
he
promo
cuts a hell
too.
of a promo. Like, the promo work is there, but I think also at the same time you have to look at it from, do I want him because he's a pain in the ass, which he's notably been a pain in the ass,
Yeah,
or do you want to let him be that draw that he is. I think if you could come to a deal and like have everything become like Tony has that talk where everything gets straightened out, something happens where there's some structure. I think he would come back. I mean, I think they've already rolled some merch out for him, so that could be a tease for him to come back. But I don't know, man. Like I said, it all depends on how he wants to interact with Tony, the conversations behind the scenes, how it works out. Do I see it? Maybe. Will I be shocked if it doesn't? No. So either way, whatever's best for the company is best for the company.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I mean, and you don't have to have him, if you have him come back, you don't have to have him wrestle as often as he was beforehand. Just have him wrestle occasionally, wrestle for the pay per views, maybe occasionally have him on, Rampage or Dynamite wrestle. Have him in a group, put a group together and have him just, lead a group and cut promos and stuff. Like I said, use that drawing power that he has. Just figure out a way to best utilize him where he's not, just taking so much of a toll on his body. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. There's more than enough talent over there for your company to, be successful. But if he comes back, I'm okay with it.
And I think he's very old school because he wants them to slow it down and shit.
He
Because
does, yeah.
well, let's be honest with ourselves here. A lot of them don't listen because they want to go out of there and do all these crazy moves and kill themselves. Because, and I'm going to say it right now, Meltzer has a part in this too, because everybody wants to be about 5 stars instead of being the star. And that's where we're at in today's day and age. And I think that is one of the detriments of professional wrestling nowadays, because if you're in a training class and you're a wrestling school, oh, well, Meltzer's, I don't give a shit what Meltzer says. Let me tell you what Meltzer is. And again, don't mean to go on a rant, but we're going to go here. Dave Meltzer is a 60-year-old man-child with a dirty office who knows about wrestling, but doesn't mean that he can book professional wrestling or write for professional wrestling. He is a fan like all of us, but you guys have to go at him because, oh my God, he rated my match 5 stars. Who the fuck cares?
And what does that mean in the long run? Him giving you a
Nothing.
5-star rating? Nothing.
Nothing.
What is that getting you in the wrestling business?
Nothing. It's what it is. Just because he's so smart about professional wrestling, it's like the Undertaker. They forget their fans. That's what he said, and it's true. They forget that they're fans. They're a fan just like you and I are. And I'll say this, Chris, you know me for years. You know how I know about professional wrestling, and I've got to work with a lot of people. Doesn't mean like I know how to book a show or run a show. That's not my
right. Yeah, exactly. I would never. Like I said, I've been a fan and stuff myself, done a lot of different stuff. I would never say that I would know how to book a show and know more wrestling than some of these other people that have been in the business a lot longer than I have, been actually putting shows and stuff together. No way.
Well, that's what also turns out. And first of all, with New Japan, like I like how Okada's back on top. You got Mercedes Moné doing her thing. But I think what turns a lot of people off of New Japan is Meltzer and him just gushing over it, and the fact that he legit had to say like, "Oh, it's a 15-minute train ride to Corrigan." Who the hell cares, Dave, that you took the train to goddamn Corrigan Hall to see a Are you? Come on, man! Like really,
Come on, bro.
talk about the distance of a train ride to Corrigan Hall. Don't get me started. I'm done there. But yeah, no, that's the influx of what I'm trying to say there. But yeah, worry about being the star instead of the 5 stars.
There you go. There you go. Well said. And we're gonna leave it on that. That's our recaps for NXT Roadblock and AEW Revolution. Once again, I want to thank you, Mike Larkin, here for being on the show. Anything you like to plug and promote before we get up out of here?
Well, first and foremost, like I said, when it comes to promoting stuff, when it comes to pro wrestling, support all professional wrestling, AEW, WWE, MLW, Impact Wrestling, NWA, whatever you like, enjoy it, watch it, take it in. What you should watch is CCW Capital Championship Wrestling. CCW has their show coming up, Battle of the Throne tournament, headlined by Kylan King, the mother effing king, against Ray Lynn for the CCW Championship and Network Championship. Chris, I know you were hyped for that coming this Saturday.
Absolutely.
My goodness. Follow my work for CCW Progression and Succession and their recap shows on the CCW Capital Championship Wrestling YouTube channel, and check out CCW on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, CCW Action. And if you want to check out myself as well, you can check me out SM Show 1 or MCL92 on Twitter. Instagram is MLarkinMB and Larkin_92. Subscribe to my YouTube, Mike Larkin92, StephenMikeShow.com, LFCfights.com for the LFC podcast, Beauty, Strength, and Dominance. And I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere, man. Links will be in the description, which I'll send Chris so you guys can check it out. But yeah, I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere, man. I do a lot of great work, and I'm damn proud of who I get to work with and the work that I get to put in for you guys to absorb and get your eargasms going like I'm Blackstreet, no diggity, no doubt. Yes, I went there, but enjoy yourselves, enjoy what you love. And yeah, I'm just having a damn good time given a platform to tell my story and put out some damn good content and work with my people like Chris Durham and everybody in this podcasting world. It's a good time. So that's all I really got to say. But yeah, the links will be in the description. I'll send them over for Chris so everybody can check it out.
Awesome. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love all the stuff that you do. You do great work. You're an inspiration. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep doing what you are doing.
Same to you.
And
Same to you,
thank
Chris.
you.
Same to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And as far as I'm concerned, you can follow me on Twitter at Moneymaker Chris, Instagram DC Sports Fan 23, as well as at the Moneymaker 315. Check it out. Anything that I have posted will be on any of those social media platforms. Any last words to close out the show? Just any last words?
I quit AEW and I'm going to Ring of Honor. But it's no, I swear to God, it's different. I'm telling you right now, it's different.
It's
I'm
a
quitting
different brand.
AEW.
It's a different
I am
show. It's a
going to
different
Ring of Honor.
ownership.
It's different. All right, I swear. But wait a minute, isn't Tony? No, he's not. I swear to God, it's different. I'm not going across the hall. I am just going to a different promotion. That is what I am doing. Why are you questioning this right now? That's my last words.
There you go. I love it. We'll leave it at that. You guys take care. Be safe as always, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace. I swear it's different. I swear.
He swears it's different, people. He swears it is
I
different.
swear by the moon and the stars in the skies. All for one. I'm out.
There you go.